I'm super excited to have you in this video, highly esteemed ladies and gentlemen. I want us to go into a very important topic in English language. Hence, I implore you to give an undivided attention to this particular video because you are going to learn a lot. We want to focus on the past tense marker in English language. Based on the allomorphic variation, which is a concept in English language, there are several ways we can realize the ed morpheme, that is the past tense marker in English. Allomorphic variation implies the different ways of realizing a particular morpheme. Morpheme can be a letter or letters of the alphabet that carries meaning and can add meaning to a word. So the different ways we can realize one morpheme is what we mean by allomorphic variation. That's the point of concentration today. We want to focus on the different ways we can pronounce ed in words. And note that ed is the past tense marker because we use it to indicate past tense form of verbs. So whenever you see ed in a regular verb, you just know that it is the past tense form. Whereas we have other inflected forms of verbs. So for the ed forms, we have the past tense. So the past tense marker is the focus of this video. So I'd like you to give undivided attention as we go ahead on this lesson. Okay, so we have here the pronunciation of the ed suffix. I'm calling it suffix because we normally have it at the end of verbs, especially the regular verbs. When I say regular verbs, I'm referring to those verbs that form their past tense and past participle with the addition of d or ed suffix. Right, so the first way we can realize or produce the ed is as the sound t. We can realize it as the sound t, and normally when it comes after voiceless sounds, voiceless consonants to be precise. Okay, so when ed comes after any voiceless consonant sound, we realize it as t. Examples of voiceless consonant sounds are sh, ch. So when you have any of these sounds before the ed past tense marker, that ed will be realized as t and not d. Examples are given here, ranging from the word stop. The past tense form of stop is stopped. Look at the transcription. Where you have the ed, we have the t sound. So it is stopped, not stopped. Again, we have kiss. The past tense form of kiss is kissed. We have the t sound at the end. Then we have laugh. The past tense form of laugh is laughed. We have t at the end. Another one is watch. The past tense form of watch is watched. So we have the t sound at the end. We have also the word work. Then the past tense form or past participle form of the word work is worked. Worked. So in each of these words, we have the t sound in place of the ed suffix added to form the past tense form. So please do well to note this, that we can realize the ed suffix as t in different words, and most especially it is words with a voiceless consonant sound before the ed suffix. Now, another way we can realize the ed suffix or the past tense marker ed is the sound D. And this is the most obvious pronunciation. Most times we get this one correctly, but when it comes to where we have T, we get it wrong. The difference lies in the fact that ED comes before a voiceless sound in where we have the T sound, and ED comes before a voiced sound where we have the D sound. So this particular aspect can either be a voiced consonant sound or a vowel sound. Remember, I made mention of the fact that all vowel sounds in English language are voiced. So if you have ED after any vowel sound, it will be realized as D because that vowel sound is voiced. Then we also have other consonant sounds that are voiced. That is, those ones you say with a vibration in your throat. So those are voiced sounds. We have 15 voiced consonant sounds. So if you have any of them before the ED suffix, that ED suffix will be realized as D, except the palato-alveolar plosive sound. We have two palato-alveolar plosive sounds in English language, and it is the sound D and the sound T. So when it comes to the first part where we realize the ED morpheme as T, if we have the ED after the sound T, we are going to realize it differently. So this is an exception. The same thing applicable to the voiced form. If we have it after D, we are going to have a different sound. So this one is not applicable. Apart from these two sounds, any other voiced consonant sound that we have before the ED suffix, you make the ED suffix to be realized as J. Examples are given here. In the word play, the last sound is A. The last sound in the word play is A. Hence, we have the ED realized as D, and we have played. In the word beg, we have begged. Clean, we have cleaned. Love, we have loved. Rub, we have rubbed. So in each of these words, we have the ED past tense marker realized as D because they come immediately after a voiced sound. So here the voice sound is A. Here the voice sound is G. Here the voice sound is the nasal sound. Here the voice sound is V. Here the voice sound is B. So note these categories of words and how to realize the ED suffix. Moreover, the third way to realize the past tense marker, the ED suffix, is id, a combination of vowel number 2 and the consonant sound D. So we have it. And most times, when you realize the ED morpheme as it will form two syllables. That word will change to two syllables. In the first instance we considered here, all of them are realized as monosyllabic words. But here, when once you add the ED suffix to the verb will turn into two syllabic word. And this is often realized when we have the word that ends with T and D. So when we have ED after T and D, we realize it as it. Examples are given here. Here we have want. The last sound is T, which is the voiceless alveolar plosive sound. Hence, when we add ED to it, we have wanted, wanted. The next one is need. In need, the last sound is D, which is the voiced form of the alveolar plosive sound. Then when we add ed to it, we have needed. Again, we have decide. Decide ends with D sound. Hence, when we add the ed past tense marker to it, it becomes decided. We have attend. When we add the ed past tense marker to it, it becomes attended. We have waited. Waited. We have the T sound at the end. But when we add the ed marker to it, past tense marker to it, it becomes waited. So these are the different ways, the different sounds that underlie the ed past tense marker depending on word situation. So it is not in all situations that you can realize the past tense marker ed as d. In some situations, you realize it as t, and then in some situations, you realize it as it. And I have emphasized here that we realize it as t when it comes after a voiceless consonant sound. And then we realize it as d when it comes after a voiced sound, be it consonant or vowel. And then we realize it as it when it comes after any of the alveolar plosive sounds, which are t or d. So please pay up attention to that. Moreover, I would like to do a little evaluation here. I have 3 questions. So these 3 questions, when we answer them, it will further give you in-depth knowledge on what we are talking about now. The question is, choose the word that has the same sound as the letter or letters underlined in the flame. The first word given here is called. The ed here is underlined. Now look at the option. Which of the words has the same sound as the sound we have underneath the ed suffix? We have tum, we have talked, we have laughed, we have drive. The first thing to consider when you have a question like this is the sound you have underlined the underlined letter. So ed is underlined here. So what sound do we have here? This is pronounced as called. So the ed here is realized as d, because we have the l sound, the liquid sound, which is a voice sound, before the ed. Hence we realize this as d. And thus we are looking for the word with the d sound in all these. Here we have tum, there is no d sound. B, we have talked. The ed here is realized as t because of the k sound that comes before it. Hence, we don't have the d sound here. So it is wrong as well. We have laughed. Laughed, the same thing. The ed is realized as t because of the f sound we have before it. Then the last word we have drive. The first sound we have in this word is the d sound. So option D is the correct answer. We go over to number 2. The word given is hissed and ed is underlined. In place of ed, what sound do we have there? To determine the sound we have there, we consider the sound before it. And the sound before it is s, s, which is a voiceless sound. So since it's a voiceless sound, we realize the ed as t. So in the option, what we are looking for is the word with the t sound. Option A is toast. In toast, we have the t sound at the beginning and even at the end. So obviously, that is the correct option. But option B, we have load. The ed is not realized as d, so we cannot take load. We have turned. we have the sound before the ed, hence the ed is realized as d because of the nasal sound, which is a voiced sound. Moreover, we have waded. Here we have the ed after the d sound, which is a plosive sound. That is alveolar plosive sound. Hence, this one is realized as eat. So the right answer to question number 2 is option A, toast, because we have east. Number 3, we have the word loaded. Loaded. In loaded, we have the ed coming after the d sound, which is the voiced alveolar plosive sound. And remember what we said, whenever you have the voiced alveolar plosive sound or the voiceless alveolar plosive sound, you're likely to realize the ed suffix as it. So the sound we have here is it. That's why we pronounce this not load, but loaded. Not as load, but as loaded. So which of these options do we also have the it sound in place? The it sound which we have here. We look at the first option. The first option is the past tense form of point. So the last sound there is t. Hence the ed will be realized as it. That is different from option B, which we have burned. In burned, the sound comes before the ed past tense marker. Hence, the ed is realized as d, so it is burned. Option C, we have the k sound before the ed past tense marker. Hence, we realize the ed past tense marker as t. So this is cooked. Then D, we have take. Here we don't have the it sound. Here we don't have the it sound. Here we don't have the it sound. It is only in pointed. Pointed. So take note of this. This is applicable to other words in other situations. Note the different ways we can realize or pronounce words with ed suffix, mostly verbs, because ed past tense marker. We use them to mark the past time. I want to believe you've learned a lot from this video. Do well to subscribe to this channel, forward this video to reach other people, also like and comment on it. If you have anything you would like us to improve on, do well to share. Many thanks. I remain your very own Teacher Dixon.